Dear students, let's start lecture number 16 on the topic interfaces of the course Visual Programming. So this is our today's outline. We will be discussing C# interfaces, implementation, multiple interfaces, uh, interfaces references, what interfaces can do and what they can't, advantages of interfaces. Then I'll give you an assignment. Then I'll share my resources which I have used in making these slides. Then we will be having question answer session. So let's start with the revision of lecture number 15, which was on the topic abstraction of properties. So you can see here abstract property declaration have the form like public, abstract, return type, and name of the property, whatever name you want to see, whatever name which you want to give. Like this is, as I mentioned, this is access modifier, this is modifier, this is return type, and this is the name of your property or method. One thing, remember that the property and method, they have same signature. Okay, so here you see that we have get and set. So as they are abstract, so you need not to declare here. And as this is the abstraction of the property, so the class which derive or extend this abstract property, that class will provide the definition of this property. So here you can see here, like for example, public abstract class, and this is abstract car. So you can see here that this property is abstract here, means that this the derived class of this interface, this abstract class, as this class is abstract, so the derived class of this abstract class will provide the definition of this property. I think you remember that when we were discussing abstract methods, so there were some rules. Like for example, if you want to make method abstract in a class, then you have to define your class abstract, right? Similarly, you can make your properties abstract as well. So here you can see here that we have this public abstract, this is return type as this integer, and this is the name of your property, and this is get and set. As you know that whenever you define a public property, this structure is that you will get something, you will set, and then you will get something. So the derived class of this this abstract class will declare or define this property. You can see here abstract properties like here public class detail. This is as this class is abstract. So you can see here public abstract string name. This is the property. Get and set. How this will be set and how you will get that. Public abstract int id and get and set. So this class, the class of this name is details, and this has two public properties which are abstract. So one is named as name, another is id. So they both are abstract, and they both have not defined get and set, but the class which extend this abstract class will define both this name and id public properties. So class user, now this is the class, and this class is extending this details. So here you can see that this is providing the definition like city, get and set, and here this was the property name which is defined, which is declared in the abstract class name details. Now this derived class is giving the definition of this name property and ID, and this is the ID property. So now this class is giving the definition of both the properties. One thing remember, that the class the class which extends its parent class will provide the definition whatever the properties or method that are abstract in its parent class will provide the definition of all those in it. Otherwise, you will get compilation error. That whenever you have an abstract class and you have a child class which is derived from its parent, and that parent class is abstract, so the child class will provide the definition of all those methods and properties which are abstract in that parent class. So here you can see here that this user class is now providing both the definition of both the public properties like name and ID. So if this class, like this user class, if this user class does not provide the definition of the properties which is defined abstract in its parent class, so this class will not be compiled and you will get compilation error. So abstract properties, so you can understand that here we are making object of this child class user, and now we are setting this city. This has its own, you can see that this has own property, and this is the name property which was abstract in this user class, and this US or a user US1 or user class has provided the definition of this. So then now this is setting this name, and actually this will get this name when you want to display here. And US ID, this is setting the ID. So this is how abstract properties work. Now come to lecture number 16, interfaces. Before starting this lecture, I want to see here that this is also extension of that topic, the topic which we have covered in our previous lecture, like abstraction. This is, you may call it is also part of abstraction. So this is another way to achieve abstraction. So interfaces is also used to achieve abstraction in C# is with interfaces. So you can say that you can achieve abstraction using abstract or interfaces, but there are some differences. I'll explain that at the end. And interfaces is a completely abstract class which can only contain abstract method and properties, but not fields or variables. So an interface is completely abstract class. This is as you make your class abstract, if you define interface, so interfaces also act like a abstract class which can only contain abstract method and properties. So there is restriction. You can make your you can define method and properties in abstract in interfaces without bodies, but not fields and variables. You cannot define variables or fields. Specify what a class must do and not how. Cannot have a private members. By default, all members of the interfaces are public and abstract. This is the key point in abstract. Normally, as you know, that in abstract class, we have to declare explicitly that which method they are abstract and which method they are public or a private. But in an interface, they are by default, all member of the interfaces, they are public. You need not to define it, and they are abstract as well. Means they do not have definition. And interfaces cannot contain a constructor. Normally, as you know, that in an abstract class you have constructor, but in an interface interface cannot have a constructor, as it cannot be used to create objects. On implementation of an interface, override all its method defined with the help of keyword interface. So similarly, as in abstract class, the class which derives from its parent, and if the parent class is abstract, so the child class will have to provide the definition of all the properties and methods which are abstract. And whereas in interfaces, interfaces have the same logic, that the classes which are derived from the interfaces, they will provide the definition of all the properties and methods in that interface. So can contain fields because they represent a particular implementation of data. Why and when to use? To achieve security, normally where we need that, because as we are working for abstraction, so actually these are the key points that why we do abstraction. We can achieve abstraction by using abstract keyword, or you can use interface. But actually, this slides defends that why we need abstraction actually. To achieve security, this is one of the benefit of using abstraction. Hide a certain details and only show the important details of an object. C# does not support multiple inheritance, so a class can only inherit from one base class. So as you know that multiple inheritance is not supported in C#, like it was supported in C++, but it is not supported in C#. But you can achieve that by using interfaces. It can be achieved with interfaces, multiple inheritance, because the class can implement multiple interfaces at a time. Here you can see that interface and the name of interface. Normally we define the name of our interface with the starting capital I. This is for representing interface. Now declare event, declare indexes, declare methods, and declare properties. This is how the interface is used, and how we implement it. Like you have this interface, and now this class is implementing interfaces. One thing remember, like if you have abstract class, so the class will extend its parent class. And when you have an interface, so if you are if two interfaces are used, if one interface is extending another interface, so we call this as extending interfaces. I'll explain that later actually. Here you can see that interface, this is the name of interface, and this is the class. Now this class will provide the definition of all the methods or events or indexes or properties which are available in this interface. So this class will provide the properties of all these. Okay, so this is called, now this class is implementing interface. Actually, when you have when the class is inherited from an interface, so we call this class will implement this interface. So this is called implement. And when you have a class here and you have another class here, so you can see that this class is extending this class. So class extend another class, and class implements interface. So here you can see, now this is the practical or code example. Here you can see the interface animal, and this has this word animal sound. Now this is another, you can see that this is abstract, and this is void run. This is also, as we know, that they are by default public and they are by default abstract. So you need not to define their body. So it is considered good practice to start the letter with I. So here, whenever you write, you write I animal. So I have not written here, but whenever you name your interface, remember that you start your name with I at the beginning of the interface, because we want to distinguish between an interface and a class, as it makes it easier for yourself and others to remember that it is an interface and not a class. Here you can see that interface iAnimal. Now this is the method. As we know that in the interfaces, methods are by default abstract and public. So abstract means that you need not to provide a definition, and access means that you need not to write here the access modifier here. So you need not to define. By default they are public. So class pig, and now this pig is extending this, implementing this interface. Now here you can see this public void animal, and now this is the definition of this method. You can see here. Similarly, this is class program, and now we are making the object of this child class, which has implemented this animal interface. So you are making the object of this. As you know that you cannot make object of this iAnimal because this is abstract, and you cannot make the object of interfaces. Implementation. There are two ways of implementing C# interfaces: explicit and implicit. Implicit, the interfaces method are implemented public. You can see here the interfaces, they are implicit and explicit. In the implicit, they are by default, as you know, they are public, and explicit, they are defined as private. Explicit, the interface method are implemented private. Usually implicit interfaces are used. Multiple inheritance. Interfaces can have methods, properties, events, and indexes as its member. As we know that in classes you can define data variables and fields as well, but in interfaces you have method, properties, indexes. They are limited, but you do not have fields and data fields and variables. Members will be given by a class who implements the interface implicitly or explicitly. C# allow the implementation of multiple interfaces with the same method name. Here you can see that this is one interface, G1, and this is G2, and each has its own methods. Now, this is the example of multiple inheritance. Like you have this interface I first, so it has this method, my method, and as you know that by default in interfaces we have method, they are abstract and public as well. So we need not to provide the definition of my method. And here you can see the interface I second interface. This is second interface. Now this has this other method, and here you can see the class demo. Now this class is implementing both these methods. As you know, this is not this thing is not available in case of classes. Like one class cannot be inherited two classes at a time. So one class cannot have two parents. This is not possible in classes. That thing is called actually multiple inheritance. But this is possible through interfaces. Class can implement two interfaces or three interfaces at a time. Public void my method and public line sum and public. So this class is providing the definition of both the methods at a time. So this is possible. So that's why I was saying that this is one of the solutions of multiple inheritance. Like this was not possible in classes, but through interfaces you can implement multiple inheritance. So here you can see that now you are making object of this, object of your class, which was demo class, and now you are calling both the methods. So multiple inheritance is possible, or by using interfaces you can achieve multiple inheritance. Interface references allow to create a reference variable of an interface type refer to an object that implement its interface. Only knows the declared method. It does not allow accessing any other variables or a method that might be supported by the objects. Interfaces, what interfaces can do and what they can't. By default, the members of an interface are public, and interfaces can contain like abstract method, properties, indexer, and anyway. These are the things which can contain by interfaces. And interfaces cannot contain non-abstract methods, data fields, constructors, and destructors. So interface does not have these, whereas constructor only limited to these things, like you have abstract method, property, indexer, and fields. Advantage of interface, loose coupling. What the coupling is, actually this is software engineering concept, like you minimizing the dependency on another classes. So how much you can minimize the dependency on another classes. This is actually the concept of coupling. You cannot remove, but you can minimize it actually. Total abstraction, component-based programming, multiple inheritance and abstraction. Interfaces add plug and play like architecture into application. Here you can see that these are the advantages, that if you have interfaces, you have loss coupling, and you have add plugin or additional total abstraction, or component based, or multiple inheritance and abstraction. Here you can see by code example, like we have animal. This animal has this method. This is, as you know, this method is by default. This method is abstract and public. And here we have, like you can see here, like this, we have this method animal sound, and then we have this public void animal. Now this is a class called cow. This is implementing this animal, and now this class is cow. Sorry, cow is providing the definition of this animal sound. So class this here, and you are making the object of this, and I have explained this already in my previous slides, so that's why I don't want to explain it again. Property use, public interface, iSample interface, like property declaration, like this is string, like get and set. As you know that we have used the same with the abstract class, and now we are using the same with our interfaces. Now this property is abstract actually. So now your assignment is that submit the example of previously submitted examples which you have used in abstraction method, like optional and mandatory overriding. So you have to submit all those examples using interfaces, like what examples you have considered for to bring abstraction. You have to submit the same example on interfaces, so that you can understand, because as I mentioned, that interfaces also used for abstraction. So as we have covered abstract classes, and now we have covered the interfaces as well. So now both the concept must be clear to you, that how you can achieve abstraction, and where you use abstract classes for the abstraction, and where you have to use interfaces for the abstraction. So once you use the same examples for the use the same example for these two different concepts, then you can understand that where in what situation you will using the which one. So I want to now I'll ask you to submit this example using interfaces. These are the sources which I have used for making these slides. You can go through each one of them to explore more about this topic, as this topic is very important, and this is very helpful as far as object-oriented programming is concerned. So I, I ask you to understand it, so that if you know if you know these concepts, or if you understand these concepts, then you will be able to understand the object oriented programming, that what is the basic theme, and why the object oriented programming is different from structure oriented. So if you have any question, you can ask me through WhatsApp or KCMS, or you can email me. I'll be more than happy to answer your questions. So with that, we reach to end of this lecture. So till next lecture, Allah Hafiz.